Good morning. I'm back. The show is Who Am I? And I'm jazzed, actually. I've been listening to some, it's not exactly new material, but it just reaffirms these ideas that I think are so important. The question is, who am I? And another question that you could ask that would be equally valid is, what am I? Because we're going to be talking about what are we made of and how does it work? Because we're talking about the matrix, people. We're talking about the structure of the universe around us and how it is connected and how it is feeding back. How you are feeding into the field. You are a field. You have access to the whole, and you are feeding back into it. So you matter. We matter. You can't subtract any of us. You can't subtract anything. You can choose to focus this way or that way. You can choose to focus what you look at and how you look at it. And that's very important because that is your personal guidance system that allows you to navigate around the universe in a manner that you would like to do so, rendezvousing with the characters that are most satisfying to you, and experiencing experiences, most satisfying to you. That's how you use your guidance system. And this is how we're going to all use our collective guidance system to get humanity where humanity needs to go. Now, what do I mean where humanity needs to go? Well, I think that where we need to go is someplace sustainable. You could look at it as generally as that, and honestly, sometimes I do think about it as generally as that. What's the object of the exercise? Well, the object of the exercise is joy. That's what we're here for. Joy, and the inevitable consequence of us being here is expansion. And let's see, what is it? Joy, growth, and what is it? These are Abraham concepts. Hold on one second. Freedom was the third concept. You're so free, you can choose bondage. That's what Abraham says. And then you're here for joy. And the inevitable consequence of being here is growth, expansion. You can't help that. You can't help that because of the structure around us. It is growing, it is learning, and you are part of it. And actually, your physical body is really, really important because it anchors you in the field of information. It's your access to how can you look at this? Your physical body is your access to the spiritual nature of the universe around you. Now, if you once you leave your physical body, you are this vibrational self, and so you don't lose contact with the rest of the universe. But your being made of the Plancks, made of the Planck field, is really important. It's really important. The structure of this is really important. And it is tomorrow's mathematics, and it is tomorrow's technology, and it is tomorrow's sustainable human systems. All of this comes with an understanding of source energy and how matter comes into being, how the universe is related, how the quantum field is related to the cosmological, physical universe that you and I inhabit, how we are connected. It's all part of tomorrow's thinking. And I am sort of blessed and cursed with being able to see tomorrow before tomorrow is here from a position of what would seem like absolute powerlessness. But of course, none of us are powerless. Just because you're here, you are made of the field and you are powerful. You are a powerful agent of chaos. You are a powerful agent of coherence. It all depends on whether you are in alignment with you or not. And whether you are banging around in step 1, as Abraham would put it, or whether you are in a state of allowance in step 3 or even 4, which is just being good at step 3. And step 5 is actually so good at step 3 and 4 that you are back in step 1 and not at all mad about it, because you completely now understand the meaning of your negative emotion. And you know that it's going to pass, and when you get past it, you are going to be able to mine it for gold, for the information that it gave you over that. Step 1 is such a clarifying thing. Such a clarifying thing. A big old dose of war will give you, if you line back up, will give you absolute clarity about, hey, we don't want to do this. We do not want to do this. This is not what we want. Now, sometimes the chaos is inevitable because we have created the energy field around us. Some of this is my own observation as to how the mathematics of this appears to work. You are two beings, and one of you is pure positive and connected to all things. It is your source energy side, your inner being side. It's the greater part of who you really are. Now, the other part of you is your physical self, and extremely, extremely important, because as your physical self, it is anchored in the world of reality around you. And gives meaning to all of the information that the source side of you knows. You know, because otherwise it's just a packet of everything. But now it matters because you are in a physical spot, living a physical life. I'm just postulating. Anyway, the question of the day is always the question, who am I? Who am I? And I believe that this new understanding of physics is really, 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 really going to be the direction that humanity goes. If humanity has a future, if we don't turn the world into a cinder. But I don't actually think we're going to, because of this field of feedback information. And haven't you noticed how understanding seems to be exponentially growing around you? If you are of the spiritual mind, and you're any part of the spiritual community, and you go looking on the internet for gurus and podcasts and wisdom, haven't you noticed how much more of it there seems to be around, laying around, than there was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Oh my God, forbid, 30 years ago, or 50 years ago when I was a teenager. I was a teenager 45 years ago too, but in any case, wisdom is growing. We are going to be all right ultimately. I don't think that even if the catastrophe happens, I don't think Trump's going to be elected. Because now all of a sudden we seem to have two fairly good mouthpieces for the spirit of democracy, as opposed to the spirit of authoritarianism, which is over there on the other side saying, I can fix this. I'm the only one who can fix this. I can fix this. When, of course, nobody can say that. We can fix this, but you can't fix it, and I can't fix it, and she can't fix it. We can fix it, though. We can fix it with a better understanding of who we are and what we are about. What we are about. And I thoroughly, thoroughly believe that this new mathematical understanding of who we are and how this matrix works, and I understand it on the one hand and don't know how to be a mouthpiece for it on the other hand. And so that's why I've invented the show Who Am I? Because I'm trying to figure out who am I. And the who am I that I'm trying to figure out actually amounts to who are we. And so along the way, other people might find this interesting. Who are we? What are we about? Why are we here? Where did we come from? How are we designed? What is our design? Did you know that the math has been done? That the world of the quantum world of the atom has been reconciled with the cosmological world of the universe, although it's been done in kind of an interesting way, a way that mainstream conventional physics has not quite yet embraced, but more and more physicists who understand the language, who can do the math themselves and go, oh, is that not really interesting? That the density of matter, the relationship of information, the density inside of a single proton of all of the Plancks, or the density inside of an atom of a proton, the density of a proton inside of an atom, turns out to be the exact same density as the relationship between it's the exact same density of the matter in the cosmological universe. The relationship is the same. Between the inside and the outside, it's the same. Doing the mathematics this way predicted the new radius of the proton, which was when conventional physics measured through experimentation at a proton at an accelerator in Switzerland. I think it must have been the CERN. Measured the new radius of the proton. It was exactly what Nassim and his mathematics had already predicted that it was going to be. By looking at the mathematics of the universe, you get the exact radius of the proton. That's how well the mathematics of this. And when you take a proton with all of the Plancks stuffed inside of it, and the information of the relationship of the matter on the inside to the surface of the outside. Let's see if I can get this right. You take the proton at its proton density. They're crammed into blow it up to the size. Take a proton and blow it up to the size of the universe, and you get exactly all the right numbers. You get the right density of the universe. Only you get the with the dark energy added in. So that's what the dark energy is. It's I need to work on my delivery. I'm not explaining it very well. I just watched 2 really good new shows, and I don't know how to give you a link to them. They're over on Gaia is where I found them. It's a show called Great Minds. And there was two. It was season 1, episodes 5 and 6, Great Minds. And I think it's been there for a while. It feels to me like it was pre-COVID, post 2013 for sure, because they were talking about events that had happened in 2013. But I didn't get the feeling it was too far past 2013. I could research that. I don't have to just guess on the show. That's silly. I want these ideas to get out though, because I know it is our future. I know it is the future of clean, free energy for everyone, everywhere. That is our future. That is the pathway out of the wilderness. That is the pathway to 100% recycling, so that our trash everywhere is no longer a problem anywhere. Because with clean, free energy, you have the energy to clean up all the crap. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to feel the impulse to recycle, to clean up all the crap. I don't know how we're going to recycle our nuclear waste. That is going to be a problem. I would suggest that we don't make any more of it. You know, we don't have to. We don't have to, and our intentions need to be pointed in the right direction. You can even in humility go, well, I can understand that this very red hot minute, I can't do anything different, but I can hold in my mind the intention of let's get on to clean, free energy for everyone, everywhere. How do you do that? Well, I think you plug into Source, because that's what's everywhere. Clean, free, almost limitless energy at any location, anywhere on the grid, because that's the way source energy works, because source energy is all of these plonks jiggling together, exchanging their information across the scales. And every universe is an expanded proton from some other universe at a different density, hits this density, goes Big Bang, although it isn't exactly Big Bang, it's just I think that Big Bang is not the worst pair of words, but it isn't describing a single event, on a single universe. It's Hawking radiation flinging protons from universes of different densities into spaces of of lighter densities and going kaboom, And it's all mental anyway. It's all traversed by the machinery of your own consciousness. That's how you get from where you are to where you want to be. You drive your consciousness there. You use your focus and your attention, and you focus on what you care about, on what you prefer, on what would be better. You focus to the more, because that's where your inner being is focused. She immediately took the hint. When you noticed what you didn't like, she immediately recognized what you were looking for, what would be better. What is that frequency that you are looking for? You find that frequency of joy, satisfaction, contentment, okayness in this universe, wherever you are, whatever your circumstances. Now, I know it's way, way easier to do that from a position of physical security. It's way easier to let go of the details of the field around you and focus on, what would be better, on being okay no matter what the conditions, when the conditions around you are okay. It's harder when you're being tumbled around by life. I've been noticing what happens to life around me, especially the insect world. Oh my goodness, are they subject to the vagaries of physical conditions around, including me, with my broom and my swatter and such, my shovel, my can of Raid, my, whatever. As an insect in this world, you really have to be in touch with source. You have to absolutely take your impulses from nowhere else, because you live a life that if you were focused on it in any other way, you would be in despair all the time. If you were attached to things being a particular way in your little insect life, it would be a horror. I probably should watch those cartoons, the Bugs and Bugs Life, and I don't know. Isn't there some of those held from the perspective of an insect? Anyway, truly I believe that our sustainable future lies in our understanding this mathematics and using it to build our technologies of the future, because they're going to lead us directly to understanding conquering gravity, and birthing our civilization truly into the stars. Elon Musk and his, dreams of space, he's not exactly wrong. He's kind of wrong, but he's not exactly wrong. We're not going to escape planet Earth and colonize Mars because we can't make it on planet Earth. And it's not just going to be an elite few that are able to get to the stars. Humanity itself is going to be able to make it to the stars. I don't know a lot of specifics about this. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. I just know that it's going to come from a true understanding of gravity. Where the force really comes from. Where gravity comes from is from spin itself. As one of my famous slides, this is one of my very famous slides, will attest. No, it's not that one. This one is a famous slide. This one is the mathematics that shows, this is the part of the paper. The paper is The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. This paper, this is showing mathematically the relationship between all of the Plancks inside of the proton and the surface of the proton. It also is showing you the relationship between all of the Plancks inside of the proton and all of the protons in all of the universe. There is a mathematical scalar relationship between these, a direct holographic relationship. When you calculate one, you can, just like, when you divide, say you have a fraction. That's the same thing as saying the bottom number divided into the top number, which is also the same as saying the top number multiplied by the inverse of the bottom number. There's all kinds of ways you go backwards and forwards. That's what math is like. Once you understand the rules of it, you can you can understand that, if you have two sides of an equation, you can divide both sides by the same number and the equation is still the same. And so you can start manipulating things, and you work from you go E equals mc squared, and so you can divide both sides by mc squared, and you find that E over mc squared equals, no. E over c squared equals m, or, whatever. All I'm saying is that once you understand how the math works, you can go backwards and forwards and up and down and work at it and you can look at the information of a universe, and through mathematical manipulations of that information, you come up with the exact radius of a proton. Conventional physics has not given us this relationship between the quantum universe and the cosmological universe. If they had, Sheldon Cooper would have been screaming about it. But he wasn't, because conventional physics had not worked it out. And although in a way Sheldon Cooper was he was nothing if not mainstream, even though he was brilliant and a genius. What am I talking about? Of course, the ridiculous character on Big Bang Theory. And so, of course, I'm not really talking about anything, but he is a reflection of what we believe is going on in the world out there, you know? He is a reflection of conventional physics and what it thinks it knows about the way the universe is. I watched Big Bang, and I know that through all of its episodes, and I think it ended in maybe 2017. Not sure exactly what year it ended. But Nassim Haramein published his first mathematical paper unifying the quantum and cosmological world in 2012. And so I know Sheldon Cooper missed it. He dreamed of being the one who would do it. But you can't do it unless you really, truly understand how the universe blends, how it comes together. I think that it's going to be the answer to our cries, all of our cries, even the cries of my... So now... The world is what it is, and it's hard right now because there's a scarcity of energy. People just don't have the energy to do what they want to do. And as long as we don't know who we are, maybe that's a good thing, because there's a lot of crap-ass, stupid shit that is a horrible expression I just made up. A crap-ass stuff that people would be doing if they just ran out right now. There'd be all kinds of I think we need a little bit of guidance. We need to understand who we are, and then everyone be free. Be free, be free, be free. Go forth, raise your family, plow your fields. Just understand that we are all connected. Before you drench your field in poison or do some kind of horrific, stupid death, eco-death thing, to the space that you're in charge of, recognize that we are all in this together, and we are all connected to one another in a really profound way. But if you lean into the spirit of things correctly, know that love is the organizing force. Love really is. It's the centrally organizing force to all things. So lean that direction. Lean in the don't hate and kill for those that you love, in your insane, grasping attachment. That's not the love I'm talking about. I'm talking about this sense of peace and loving connection to all things. That's a different kind of love than your desperate attachment to a form that is passing, Be it a girlfriend that's, leaving you or, a way of life that is passing, or an economic system that is shifting, or an energy system that is passing. Give it up, people. All of you people who are spending all of your time, learning the geology so that you can find where the fossil fuel is, so that you can go work for the fossil fuel industry, so that you can build pipelines across the sacred aquifers down to the refineries at the Gulfs, and then put your finished product on the barges headed across heaving seas to ports, whatever, in order to sell your wicked brew for the future of the energy use of humanity. That's not going to be our future. It is not going to be our future. If we have a future, that's not it. Now, fortunately, I see a way that doesn't also involve us all going back to our agrarian roots. Too bad, so sad. Leave the cities, go out into the fields, and, in your little scratch of dirt, plant potatoes and spin your flax into homespun. It's not going to be like that. We don't have to go backwards. We can go forwards. We can go forwards into a world where all of our garbage, first of all, can be 100% recycled. And as we understand more and more how the physical world actually functions, how it co-functions with the rest of the field in a harmonious kind of way, we can understand how to do everything from, clean up all of our wastewater. We're learning how to do that anyway. How to educate people, don't throw the turpentine down the drain, don't throw the whatever, but whatever it is, we can do it. We can 100% recycle all of our waste, all of our crap. Also, the way that we produce goods in the future is not going to be the way we do it now. Every local community is not going to be required to turn their ecosystem into, they aren't going to, the way I say it is that they don't have to grind their truffula trees into thneeds. Now, there are ways that local tourism turns out to be a pretty good way for communities to survive, because if you get people to come visit, then now you have people that can make money on the Airbnbs or a hotel, or they can open eateries. People love to do that. And if you've kept your local scenery, your landscape, your ecosystem pure, you can have people in the neighboring fields growing crops that are used on the tables in the local eateries. The local fisheries, if they're kept robust and sustainable, so all kinds of things can happen if you just get people to come. Now, the problem, as I see it, is energy. Energy for the transportation systems, the gasoline structure, the roadways, all that kind of stuff. So how do we solve that? What people really want to do is they want to visit one another in their communities around the planet. They want to eat one another's food. They want to dance to each other's music. They want to visit each other's local wildlife preserves and, scuba dive in the local clean waters and sail on the local beautiful blue seas. All of that sort of thing. That's what people want to do. What is getting in our way, I believe, is the burning of fossil fuel. If our technology was fueled by a different source, then our future would be sustainable, not sustainable. Now, the fossil fuel industry and all of centralized power and all of conventional forces conglomerating together to create the status quo and the powers that be, and those families and few human beings that are actually the ones who are in charge of the structure as it exists today, all of those people would like you to continue to think of it the same way that we do. They're the ones who are making millions of dollars on their, or they're connected to those who make money on the textbooks and the, it's all an integrated system. It's been integrating for a very long time. And you know what? It's kind of a good thing that we have a tendency to do that. The problem is that we've integrated in a place where we're largely out of alignment about this. And so the foundation isn't sustainable. And so some of this is going to have to come down. And then we would hope that what is built in its stead would be in alignment, and then things could start coalescing, and the momentum starts growing on it. It's like you can start counting on it. In computer technology, in computer software language, to count on is when a certain condition is satisfied, then the count equals 1. And then when it's satisfied again, the count equals count plus 1. 1 plus 1. And then it happens again, and then it adds another count, and the count starts growing. And when the count equals, it's a feedback thing that keeps, as you're counting on this thing and building the structure of your the output answer on the count. That's what counting on something means. And we've been counting on things that are coming down because they aren't sustainable, because they aren't in alignment. Things that are not in alignment are not going to be sustainable, because they're leaving parts of the matrix out. They're leaving parts of the field out. They're leaving parts of the emotional need out. You can't leave millions of people falling through the cracks and not have issues in your systems, So what does this all actually mean? Because I don't know who to tell about any of this. I think in terms of systems, and I can see how we are, and how, in actual fact, if people could just know that we are expanding, the foundation of our lives. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this foundational truth. The foundation of our lives is joy, freedom, and growth, or expansion. Freedom, expansion, growth. In however you want to say what order they come in. We are here for joy. It's supposed to be fun. Who we really are lives in a place of joy and fun. And actually, every time you, small, specific, individual, material you, find yourself in a joyful place, you'll recognize, oh, I've been here before. And if you find a way to sustain it long enough, you'll recognize, oh, this actually is who I am. I'm realizing this now. And this negative self that I am being is not me. Your negative self isn't you. It really isn't you. And when you stand in the physical shoes of your negative self, when you take on the identity of your negative self, oh, this is me, and I'm going to act from this negative place, you create a shadow in this world. And because we are all connected, because this matrix is divinely connected, I guess divinely, when I use the word, I mean it as in the allness of it, how it's connected to everything, the almighty allness, that allness. That's what I mean when I use the word divine. So when I say divine matrix, or I use the word divine autonomy, or whatever. I'm using an expansive definition of the word, including out to the edges of the universe sort of sense. It's a sense. So who am I in all of this? Well, I'll tell you who you are. You're the field. We are all the field, and we are all feeding back into the field. Now, it looks like we're doing it in a small way from where we are, but actually the whole field is picking up on everything and circulating it back to you. Let's get back to the freedom, expansion, and joy thing. We're here for the joy. You are a joyful, happy, eager, interested, loving, connected, secure, safe being. That's who you really are. And sometimes in your physical shoes, you find that you are that. Oh, yeah, I am that. And the idea of being in alignment with your true self is actually not as, in a way, it's really, 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 really profound. Every bit as profound as Abraham talks about it. But in a way, it's also really mundane, and you don't realize how often you actually are in alignment. The trick comes when you get a habit of being in alignment without the negative stuff thrown in. So you get a momentum of positivity without the yes, but, and the like this, don't like this, like this, don't like this, hopeful, not hopeful, good, bad kind of thing that human beings tend to do. And when you do that, in a way, you get an accurate read of the world, in a way, because there is positive and negative energies going on, and there's the gods of chaos and the gods of coherence and all that kind of stuff. And all that is all really true. But if you understood who you really were and how to navigate your ship in the waters of creation, you would understand that you are a positive being. And the true magic starts happening when you get a momentum of positivity going that is not crossed by your negative self. When you start being more in alignment with your source side, who is always positive, by the way, that positive, energetic, vibrational, in touch with all things, awareness of you that you are, that aspect of you is always positive. There is no negative to that side. To that true side of you, that eternally true side of you, that side of you is always positive. And it's love. It's like liquid love. Love is the glue that's holding us all together. There is only one of us here, in a way. Because you can identify that way. You can identify yourself as, it's all me. Because there's me, and then I only get back what I put out. And so the universe, in a way, becomes this cosmic mirror of whatever state of being I am holding predominantly. And what's really happening is it has to do with impulses that you feel and get and how you move. And so it turns into how you rendezvous. And then you have an effect on stuff around you. So it's coalescing in a particular way, either coherent or chaotic, depending on what energy you're putting out. And so that's affecting what you're rendezvousing with. Are you rendezvousing with the coherent crowd, or are you rendezvousing with the chaotic crowd, the agents of chaos, the anger, the burn it to the ground people, the Loki forces, the Shiva energy? Are you playing with the demons? Are you, where is your energy? Because your energy and how that translates is translating how you are moving around the quantum field. That's how this understanding can affect your individual self and your individual recognition of, it really is what I'm focusing on and how I am focusing on it. You know, it's what state of being I am achieving as I focus on what I'm focusing on. Now, the negative energy is not a bad thing. That's you recognizing in the field things that are not exactly as you would prefer them to be. And when you gaze out there and get a big old dose of that, and you feel it, you feel that, oh, I don't like the way that feels. You know, when I hear, and I have already been through quite a bit of it, and I don't need to keep putting myself through it. In the 80s, I was very much a big picture thinker. I was concerned about big things. And you know, a lot of us have a tendency to do this. We want to think big. We want to go to the large scale of us. But we don't really know exactly how to do it. And the rest of the world around us kind of thinks we're presumptuous when we do it. You know, who am I to say anything about systems of mankind, you know, that kind of stuff. And you feel for it, and you get the... So I had my moment where I studied everything from... And what do I mean by studied? Well, I would... Back in the day, I did amphetamine type substances that would allow you to stay awake for a long period of time, and then I would go to my local library and check out all the books that they would have on a particular subject, whether it was things like cult leaders. I was really interested in that one for a while. And there was a number of subjects at the time. And then there was documentaries and stuff that came out about different things. There was people like Ervil LeBaron and the Lambs of God. And there was a book, a really cool, an interesting book about that, telling the story about that. There seemed to me to be a pattern in all the cult behavior and religious zealotry in general, and how people were off, that there was an offness about this, and it was there was a relationship, I felt, to cult followings and the Hitler phenomenon, which I was also extremely fascinated with, and Nazis in general, and the Holocaust, and all of that that had happened. I've been interested in all of the American wars. The Revolution, I guess, not as much, but I was very interested in the Civil War. And then my own father, fought in World War II, joined at 17 years old in 1943. And by the end of the year, before he turned 18, he was fighting on the island of Tarawa, you know, murdering Japanese, and they were trying to murder him, and then he spent a couple of weeks afterwards mopping up the dead at 17 years old. And so of course I'm interested in the whole phenomenon. I'm also not naive about how bad people can be. People can be terrible, and yet I believe that actually human beings are wonderful, and we need to understand who we are. And then we also need to get a grip on a better source of energy, so that there is not this energy scarcity that is being played on by those who would control the world, those who would control the politics of the world, and those who would control the military might of the world, those who would control the direction of the thoughts and the beliefs of humanity for the world. We need a better energy source, and so we need to understand the energy of this material physical universe, the matrix of it, how it is exchanging information across all the scales. And I keep starting this other thing and not finishing it, the joy, freedom, expansion idea. So we're here for the joy. The expansion, we can't help but do it. And the reason is because of this feedback structure of the universe. Feed forward, feedback. We feed it into the field, and the field feeds it back to us. Now, each of us individually is getting fed back a big fat dose of the frequency that we are feeding it to on. So I'm getting back the frequency that I am putting out on. What you put out is what you get back. There is nothing you can do to change that. That is the law of attraction. That is the that which is like unto itself is drawn kind of thing. And you are a transmitter and a receiver. You are not a producer of thoughts as much as you are a transmitter and receiver to a wholeness. It's like you are a... wow. How do we understand this? How do we understand this so we get ourselves to a better place? How do we look at the world we've got and understand what it is we're looking at clearly enough so that we can individually move in our own individual directions? Because it is really important that everybody does what they love. If you love cooking, cook. If you love gardening, garden. If you love taking care of lost pets and helping to find their masters, do it. If you love tinkering with mechanical devices, do it. Because it is through our love, through our desire, that the universe is trying to truly organize in a holy way. And you could spell that word holy with either a W, I think that would be WHOLELY, or HOLY. Holy, holy. What's happening is the way that this universe is exchanging information. All of the individual parts are uploading all of their information all the time up to the whole. The whole is downloading its information as a whole to the individual. You're getting it as sensations. So how can you tell what your inner being knows? Well, line up your physical mind with your source mind and be less arrogant about what your physical mind knows. Know that it has to be in alignment or it's not true, or it's not by definition something that your physical mind knows. Pay attention to how you feel, because your feelings are your personal indication. Your personal indication of how well the thoughts you are thinking right now are blending with what your source mind is thinking right now about the world that you're looking at. You know? That's telling you how well you're blending. Because your thoughts are not just a direct read, and if it feels good, that means the condition is good, and if it feels bad, it means the condition is... It's not as direct as that. It's because you have a thinking mind that is an overview to your life situation. It needs to blend well with your true overview self, your source mind, which truly does know all things around you. And so when you go into places where your thoughts are making you feel bad, think different thoughts. Find ones that are more in resonant alignment with what your inner being knows to be true, knows to be lovingly, kindly, magnanimously true about the situation. We really are all doing much better than we are giving ourselves credit for. We are well on our way. We're doing very well. Thank you very much. Play and joy and fun and peace are more the order of the day than they have ever been in all of time. Although there are perhaps more starving people, because there's more people, There are also more fed people than there have ever been in all of time. There are more comfortable people. There are more playing people. And actually, there are more people. Do you know that a century and a half ago, we were so off that we institutionally had people armed with guns on the trains, the new trains crossing the plains, whole-scale murdering buffalo. I mean, we intentionally wiped out all the buffalo. We wouldn't actually do that anymore. What we would do is we would try to set aside areas where the buffalo could live and that we could interact with them so we could still see, I don't know. My strong suit is not my specific. My strong suit is the general. To stay in the general place where I know, generally speaking, I know that I am my source self, that my eternal, vibrational, untouchable self is this source energy side. I know that to be generally true. I know that we are all connected. I know that it is all love. I know that this mathematics, I've left it on this picture for a very long time. I do have better pictures. I have great pictures. Here's my picture of the Planck unit. Think of a Planck unit as being the pixelation of space-time. And when they organize, then it's matter. And when they are not organized, it's just the 0-point energy field, which is still almost infinitely energetic everywhere, whether there's matter there organized into vortices of spin, or whether it is not organized and it's just Plancks out there touching one another, jiggling together, exchanging their information, reverberating across a holographic interference pattern. That's one way to put it. Now, I would love to be a mouthpiece for the new movement of understanding that bridges this spirituality and physics, and then gets us all to a place where we are living in a world where collectively we understand gravity. We can get our regular vehicles up off the surface of the planet. We don't have to keep slathering the tarmac with new fresh asphalt. We don't have to slather the Mother Earth with asphalt and concrete anymore to run our vehicles in order for us to move about the planet. We don't have to go back to, powerless plowshares and horses and buggies in order for us to find a sustainable future. We just need a better source of energy, and I believe that we absolutely have choices. We could collectively understand where matter comes from, the origin of mass and nature of gravity, and build our there is also such a thing as over-unity devices. Fans of the show will know that I mention my links list, Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. This is a documentary talking about over-unity devices. Why are over-unity devices possible? Because you aren't creating energy out of nothing if you have a device that puts out more energy than it takes you to run it. Because you've got it locked on to the magnetic field of the earth, or you've got it locked on to some steady state frequency out in outer space, or whatever. However you've figured out how to do it, or whether you are connecting directly to the 0-point energy field itself. However you're doing it, there is such a thing as over unity devices, and we could create more and more and more and more of them, and they could be the bridge to gently get us off of fossil fuel so that we start rigging our lamps and our air conditioners and stuff to these devices that put out more than it takes to run them, and slowly but surely we let the fossil fuel mines, the coal fields and the oil fields, let them go dormant. Leave it in the ground, people. We won't have to worry about a carbon footprint when we are no longer burning fossil fuels. When we are plugged into source energy or plugged into any number of other ways that can bridge us to the direct understanding of who we are as source energy, and every single device that needs an energy source, instead of having a Duracell battery in there, it has a little thing in there that is connecting you directly to the source of all things. It's possible. It is possible. It is possible, people. And I think that some of these devices have already been created, and our government has squashed them in the name of national security. And I don't 100% disagree with them. The problem is that when you squash that in the name of national security, now regular people don't have it, but an aspect of our government does. A deeply secret black ops aspect of our government has this information, and we don't. So it's not like the information is completely secret. It's like now the really secret bad guys have it, and they're doing all kinds of whatever it is that they're doing, that 20 years from now people will be writing the spy novels of what was really going on in the 21st century. You know, that's how life really progresses. So, the answer to all this is open source, open source, open source. Let the chips fall where they may. And even though there's going to be a lot of private Idahos that are going to happen, people are going to go off into the woodwork, and without having to coordinate with the outside world, there's going to be all kinds of diversity that's going to come out of this. But those who are listening to their inner being and that guidance of peace, whatever the color that they come out with, it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. And we can go in and we can, through missionary work, we can help these private Idahos find their pathway to peaceful connection to the rest of the diversity of the rest of the field that is going to be developing. We're going to get a way diverse field as soon as everybody goes off into the bushes with their source energy devices. Now I can control my climate in that hot land, and I can maybe make a little dome, making my dome structures and control the environment inside of it so that I can sleep cool. And I can do things, I have unlimited clean free energy now, so I can pull moisture out of the air and convert it to water so that I can water my few tomato plants or whatever it is I got going. I can grow food in the desert. I can grow food in the Arctic, because in my domed structures there's so many things we are going to be able to do. And people all over the planet are going to be able to come up with all kinds of new cool ideas about how to grow food and how to create living structures and how to create, whatever. And they're going to post it up to the internet, and they're going to get watchers, and then that's going to give them, there's going to be so much money. It's not going to be too much money. There's the injection of new energy sources are going to be an introduction of new currency on the market of the marketplace of humanity. We have such a cool future ahead of us. We just have to lean into it. Lean into these new technologies, let's see. Let me get off of this slide. I realize that this is a very boring slide. This is just my links list. It's over in my description of my video, Origin of Mass, Nature of Gravity video. That's the paper that Nassim and his team published last September. They published lots of different papers. This one is on the origin of mass and nature of gravity. How matter comes into being as the Planck field spins because of gradient density in the field, throws everything into spin, throws the protons into spin, throws the planets into spin. The gradient density, the difference in density between the Planck density and the cosmological density, that's a big enough density right there to throw everything into spin. And how the spin itself, is where the force of gravity is coming from. And when you calculate all of this that way, you get in the number, you get added in the dark energy and dark mass. It's not a separate thing. It's not a dark energy out there lurking, ready to pounce. It's just us not adding in the pixelation, the spinning Planck field, and how all that works. So anyway, that's the video that describes the dry as dust mathematics, but it's beautiful to behold. It's a 37-minute video that describes the paper, and the paper itself I post later in the links too. You can see it down there, Origin of Mass, Nature, Gravity paper. Then we have Quantum Revolution, that's Nassim's series over on Gaia. That one is the first episode of it, though, and it's for free on YouTube. Go look at it. It's called The Science of a Unified Universe. And then the next one is The Connected Universe. That was a movie made about his work, narrated by Patrick Stewart. It was made in 2016. Really good movie. And then Living in the Future's Past. That gives you a sense of us as a superorganism. Do not kid yourself. We are a superorganism, but you are you in your individual self, trying to find your way in a smooth, loving, free, abundant, blessed universe, your own individual way, in such a manner that adds to the wholeness of what we are in a constructive way, as opposed to if you find yourself in a position of chaos, a position of being an agent of chaos, Loki energy. What's happening to you is we are creating this negative energy when we cross our own energy stream. When we do not know who we are and we identify with our negative self as though that's who we really are, then we create in the world a kind of a shadow energy. And it's laying around in the field, in the matrix, because we are a field phenomenon. We are a connected phenomenon. And idle hands, people without good direction in their lives, without an understanding of who they are, or how their equipment works, or what they should be doing, or anything, just kind of living their life. And then they start following an interest or whatever, and the next thing you know, they're hacking into this and they're burning to the ground and whatever. They've picked up the Shiva energy in the field around them, and they're playing it out. And that Shiva energy is like it's like an agent of chaos. It's the chaos side of the chaos and coherence part of the equation. And the chaos is probably necessary because the world of form never fixes. It's always in flux. It's always in a state of becoming and begoing and becoming and begoing and becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming and begoing and begoing and begoing. It's always in that state. And if you start latching on to the specifics of the materiality around you, you're going to be disappointed, and your heart is going to be broken. Because the form around you does not last. Not even the form of your beloved. Not even my form lasts. And you've got to let it pass. You've got to know that that's not who you really are. Who you really are is anchored in this place where the changing of the form does not touch you, because you are the field changing into whatever you want. How do you do that? By how you're focusing, what you're giving your attention to, and how you're focusing on it. Well, are you focusing on what you want? Or are you focusing on the heartache of it? Now, you have to experience the heartache of it, but you don't have to focus on the heartache of it. You just have to take that first hit. That's the only hit you have to take. And you can come right back out of it and know that the world is okay. It is okay, even if it doesn't look okay in any given moment. But the way that you are, who you define yourself to be as you look at it, is everything. And that's why I do this show and call it Who Am I? Because it's everything. Who am I? Who am I? And your defining of this, you're choosing what you prefer, is your lifelong exercise in identifying who am I. It turns out that the truth of the matter is, I believe this is true. Now, if you identify it some other way, it is possible you could make something else true, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to focus some other way. So I ain't going there. But I do know that if you focus on this other thing, this other way, that this is absolutely true. Only the love is real. Only the love is real. The rest of it might be there, but it isn't real. I'm air quoting the word real. I don't even know what real means. But only the love is real. A Course in Miracles tells us that. Now, my daughter and I, we started to study. She's the one that occasionally comes on the show. I always identify those shows as special edition. So far, I've only had 2 special editions, and they've both been just me talking to my daughter, you know. But we were studying A Course in Miracles in 2019. We started doing that in 2019. And we did it all the way up until COVID shut everybody down. Once a week. Once a week. We met at the local community center with another group of people. There was some other people that were, we had found them online. They were running the discussion group. And we joined them and went to a number of sessions. But A Course in Miracles absolutely tells you that the meaning that the world has is the meaning you're giving it. And so who you are defining yourself to be is really integral to this puzzle, to this situation. And when you identify with your negative self, then you create a negative energy. You create the dark side. You create the shadow side. And yes, there is power in the dark side, but there's no sustainability there, and it is not actually meaningfully connected to all of the rest of what the universe knows. And so the power of the dark side is very transitory, and it's very chaos-based. There's something not really powerful about the power of the dark side. So don't believe Darth Vader. Actually go with the Force. Go with the power of the Force, which is the power of Source. It is actually the source of who we are. We are 2 beings, and they are both spinning discs of attraction. They're spinning vortices of attraction, and they are both independent of one another and linked at the base. They're like two vortices that are linked at a point at the bottom. And they're independent of one another, but they are linked together, and so their alignment to each other matters to you. And one of them you have no control over. One of them is source energy. You have no control over source energy. Source energy is connected to all that is all around you. All that is, all that ever was, all that will be. That's what source is connected to, and you don't have any control over that. It is what it is with a capital I. But you do have control over your little vortex. You have ultimate control over this little vortex. I call this ultimate control. I call it divine autonomy. You have divine autonomy. And when you line your divine autonomy up with the source within you, that source that you are inextricably tethered to for all eternity, you are saddled with and lashed to, handcuffed to. I say all of that with my tongue in my cheek, because this being that you are inextricably tied to is relentlessly positive, is relentlessly loving, is absolutely understanding and kind and benevolent and bountiful and beneficent and abundant and joyful and creative, and without end she is this way. The essence of that feeling is what she's made of. And she is you. And you cannot get away from her. So anytime you, in your small, physical, specific self, take thoughts that are less than that are mean and small and judgy and blameful and shameful and guilty and critical and all of jealous, or any of those frequencies, because you are tethered to this relentlessly positive self, you feel in your core, you feel the difference in those frequencies, and you call it negative emotion. That's what your negative emotion is. Don't take it as more existential than that. It is not telling you that the world is a bad place. It's not telling you that the life is not worth living. It's telling you that the thoughts that you are having about the conditions that you are observing do not resonate with the thoughts that your inner being is having about what you're... Now, your source self is connected to all things, but your source self has scalar levels of what you're concerned about. You have levels of yourself that is concerned about your immediate body and its needs, its comfort, food, shelter, clean air, clean water, expression, relationship, all of that. Then you have bigger layers than that. You are a bigger self than that. You're your family. Perhaps, I don't know, you may be an orphan, so that part of that aspect of yourself, maybe your family is not your biological family, but it's your work family, or the family that you feel because of the sport that you play, your gymnastics or bowling or golf or whatever it is that you do. Or maybe you're into politics, and the family that you feel is your community government structure, or whatever. But you have bigger selves than just the little self that you are. All of us do. In all kinds of layers, they are different morphogenetic fields of ourselves. And then you get all the way to all of humanity, and that's a morphogenetic field. And then we are part of greater morphogenetic fields, either, individually where we are. As individuals, we might be part of ecosystems that are morphogenetic fields. There's the whole biofield of planet Gaia. There's that. There's a aspect of yourself that is as big as the Earth and the solar system and the galaxy and the universe. And as a matter of fact, this is the perfect moment to do Nassim Haramein's quote. So I'm going to come right back with this quote as soon as I find it in my pile and take a very, very quick break. I'll be right back. So this is a direct quote from something, I don't remember where I got this from, but it is Nassim. It was a quote from him. When you integrate yourself as a biological being, you connect with the morphogenetic field of the planet. When you integrate yourself at the atomic level, you connect with the solar system. At the level of the proton, you integrate with the galaxy. And when you get all the way down to the Planck, you integrate with the universe. And this has to do with going inward, inside of yourself, into layers and layers and layers, going deeper inward within yourself. That's basically what you're doing when you meditate. Now, it all feels so very much more banal than that. It doesn't seem as cosmically significant as all of that. You know, you think, oh, I'm in alignment with Source. Once I experienced it, and it was like all the angels were singing in that moment as I saw through the eyes of Source. Well, you may not realize that you're in alignment with Source most of the time, probably. But when you go into your negative self and identify with your negative self, when you go negative in any way, against yourself or against anyone else, there is a very specific, energetic, mathematic event that just happened when you do that. When you identify with your negative self, and then allow that negative self to drive your vehicle as you address whatever is going on in the world. Now, to some extent, it's not a big deal because it's the way we're designed. We're designed to have a bit of step one going on. So catastrophizing step one is not helpful. As a matter of fact, catastrophizing it does the very thing I'm telling you that you don't want to do, which is cross your own energy stream. As soon as you catastrophize crossing your own energy stream, then you've just done what I've said that you shouldn't be doing. So what's the answer? The answer is a little bit is okay, but let's get serious about this. When you seriously identify with your negative self and go out in the world and truly act with it, even if you imagine that you're doing it for the kids, you know, or whatever, you're not. You are an agent of chaos. You are Shiva energy. You are, the daimonic has turned to the demonic. You are Wetiko. Your head has disconnected from your heart. Your two selves, you are not paying attention to how you feel. You're not recognizing that who you really are is rooted in joy and love and connection. Even if you're a monster on this planet, you are rooted in joy. That's actually what the problem is because you've got your physical self turned in the bass-ackwards direction. And you are insisting on treading forward. When you have got yourself tangled up backwards, you're all angry, you're all jealous, you're all, you're on somewhere on the negative side of the electromagnetic spectrum. Somewhere here in your guidance system. Oops, that's the wrong one. Although that says it, doesn't it? This is the emotional guidance scale. Right there in the center, where there's not a lot of momentum going on the positives, the positive side is the one on the left, the negative one is the one on the right. I don't know whether that's significant, right and left, probably not. where the spiral is small is, so you could see it this way too. Here's another way of looking at it. It's all in one there. And this is just the words. This is just the identification of the emotional frequencies that go along with strong positive momentum or slow positive momentum, but still in the positive range. Positive starts right around contentment. Contentment is just, I'm okay. I'm part of Source. I'm here. I'm living my life. It's all okay. We, in our humanness, have a capability of jacking those positive emotions up to some pretty good pitches. We also have the capability of taking the low ones down pretty low and holding a pretty long grudge. I'm not sure what animals are like. From what I understand, unless they're very intelligent, they mostly sit in contentment unless they are physically uncomfortable, in which case they have at least that, but they aren't tortured emotionally quite the same way that human beings are. The reason is because human emotional torture has to do with your physical mind going into thoughts on the lower scale of the emotional guide. What it is you take a thought and then you gauge how that thought makes you feel. If the thought itself makes you feel bad, I was about to give advice that I'm not sure. I'm not going to advise against having the negative emotions. Please go have the negative emotions. Just don't wallow there. Don't live there. Don't focus there. Don't be there. Take the hit and then come back out of it knowing that who you really are is the love. Who you really are is the at least contentment. But actually, since you are driving a physical human being machine, your capability of hitting some really high pitches, some real, I wonder what I just tore up, some real strong resonance with some higher knowing of what's within you. It's all, the secret is all in the state of being that you're in. Now, you can't just achieve a state of being based on nothing. People would think you're mad. That's the person, sitting in the middle of the garbage heap giggling to themselves, holding on to something and, stroking it, going, precious, or whatever. That's not the kind of euphoria I'm talking about. That's not the kind of state of being that we're really looking for. We want one that's grounded in some sense of reality. Well, what I've found is that an understanding that there is physics and continuity and stability that lies in the laws of the universe themselves. Because there certainly is nothing in the actual physical universe that you're going to be able to really count on to last forever and ever and never change and always be that way, because everything changes, including your own physical body. It has always been that way. Your body has always, I don't care who you are, I know that it's true that your body has always been changing, because you started out as a freaking zygote. You started out as a twinkle in your father's eye, and then you ended up as a glumps of cells, and then you're a whatever, and then you're a baby. And then you're out there in the world and you're trying to figure out who you are and what's going on. And all the grown-ups are telling you, you know, whatever. And then with your own eyes, you're witnessing a lot of chaos. And you're saying to yourself, you know what? All the grown-ups are saying that they know that this is what's going on and this is how it works. But I don't see a lot of evidence that we really, because I hear echoes of this rumor. There's this rumor that the scarcity is growing. The desert is growing, and it's getting harder and harder. And you know, the future is this apocalyptic hellscape. You know, that's what I hear. And so I say, burn it to the ground, burn it to the ground, or whatever. We've got to get a better grip on this, people. We've got to have a better understanding of who we are and pass it on to our children so that they understand who they are, and that their task, it is their task to take all of the traditions of all of their fathers and all of their neighbors' fathers and all of our fathers' fathers and all of that and add it all together, along with an understanding of how my equipment works and what are the laws of the universe. And what are the laws of the universe? I'll tell you 5 that Bashar tell you, and then there's steps of creation. That's what Abraham will tell you. Step 1, contrast causes you to ask. Step 2, source answers vibrationally. Step 3, you've got to get into alignment with that answer. You've got to find the frequency of that answer. It's an allowing thing. You don't go find it, you allow it. Because it's trying to get to you, but you've got an umbrella up against it, thinking that the world is harsh and that the answers aren't there. Well, the answer's there. Just allow it to happen. Step 4, you get really good at step 3. And step 5 is you're back in step 1, but you're not mad anymore because you understand. Oh, I'm asking for more. Source is answering me. Now I have to get into alignment, into allowance of the answer. The answer that has already been given. Ask and it is given. It's true. Ask and it is given. Quit trying to make it happen. Allow it to happen. The bigness, the allness, the organization, the collective feedback organization of the Almighty is trying to organize us into loving, helpful, joyful, creative patterns. What's getting in the way is us thinking that we have to order ourselves. We have to think up a structure and then everybody go live by it. And in actual fact, to some extent, it has had to be that way. And the structure of who we were was more constricted. It's more freeform going on right now. Pretty much everything is allowed and allowable these days. You can dress any which way. Your hair does not have to be in a bouffant or, under a powdered wig or whatever the norms of society have always, they've been specifically different things at every given point in time. It's always a different thing because the form always changes, but the rules never change. Now, the 5 rules Bashar tells you, only one I think is actionable. Let's see whether any of the others are actionable. The first one is you exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. Not actionable, is it? The second one is everything is here and now. There's nothing you can do to change that. Now, there is things you can do in your imagination where you throw your consciousness into different spaces. But as you're doing that, it's here and now. There's nothing you can do to change that. The third one is the all is one. No, the one all is one. The all are one and the one is all. The one is all and the all are one. Whichever way you want to look at that. There's nothing you can do to change that one either. That's the statement of the matrix, the connected matrix. How the mathematics connects all the points, connects the Plancks to the protons, to all of the protons in the universe, to it connects all the black holes all the way up and all the way down, and it's just really cool. The universe that we abide in is really, really cool. The fourth law is the first and only actionable one. I think it's the only actionable one is. Yeah, it's the only actionable one is. What you put out is what you get back. There's nothing you can do to change that. So be mindful of what you put out. Now, you are allowed to grouse for a moment. You're allowed to vent in the sense that if you need to express a negative in order for you to be able to see it from the outside, so that you can see what it is that you're looking at that you want the improvement about, okay, fine. Keep it brief and don't do it on purpose. Just recognize that we all have a point where we get fed up, we get full. We cannot be all that relentlessly positive all the time. For crying out loud, my house just burned down. You know? And I have this mantra. No, my house didn't really burn down, but we're just say, my house just burned down, and I have this thing that I have in my front of my dashboard, and it reflects, the sun reflects off of it and reflects it back to me in the glass. Faintly. It's not all that intrusive, and it says to me, things are always working out for me. And I know this to be true no matter what. Now, sometimes when something doesn't look as good, it might be a little more, you might have to get a little bigger in order to find where it's true, how my house burning down, how that's going to work out for me. Well, you know, it's making the cosmic lemonade for sure, but it's more than that. It's the conditions don't matter. This is another idea of Bashar too, and it's not just his, of course. If it's true, you've heard it echoed from 1,000 wise throats. If it's brand spanking new and you've never heard anybody say anything that approaches anything like that or relates to it in any way, I would be suspicious of it. Except for suspicion is actually one of those, we really shouldn't be so suspicious. Find a way to open your heart. For a long time, my heart was closed too. It was closed and my eyes were closed. Because I couldn't figure out how to open my eyes and which direction to look in order to see the wholeness of the whole thing without spotting all these terrible things that I did not like. Like, for instance, humanity's tendency to go to Holocaust. How did that happen? That was a really banal thing in a way. It was something without guardrails on it because nobody had any idea that it would go to that extent, that it would include the entire freaking world and amount to tens of millions of murders, you know, on both sides, on all sides of the equation. It just turned everybody into murderous monsters, including the good guys. The good guys had to become murderous monsters in order to wipe out the bad guys who had initiated the murderous monstrosities. And it was just a debacle of incredible proportions. And not only that, but you can see the same spirit. There was the spirit of that small meanness, that prejudice outlook of whatever. You could see it in little places, even on the side of the Allies. You know, when you go into the tents and the actual individuals involved, you see this when you watch period pieces. You know, showing that human beings are human beings, and Wetiko is everywhere. Now, there was a point where that ideology, oh man. If you're a fan of the show, you might wonder why I keep bringing it up. Well, it is important to remember it. It is important to remember that the unconscious crap will take us that far down the road if we do not pull ourselves together and understand who we really are. There is no us and them. It was everybody agreeing that there is an us and them paradigm that is valid, that we're going to operate from and we're going to act violently from in order to, we're not just going to wrestle you to the ground and slap your face and bring you back to your positive self, shake you and say, you are humanity. For crying out loud, will you stop behaving like such an ass? Instead, we took it all the way to the place where everybody thought it was valid to bomb everybody else. And I'm telling you, in the world of the future, where there's 10 billion human beings trying to collaborate and exist past, the 21st century, we're going to have, that's an autoimmune disorder, and we can't have that. We cannot have that. That is not part of our sustainable future. It absolutely is not. Source is not looking at us being that way. What Source is looking at is us getting to the point where we finally get fed back enough information. We hear there's enough gurus echoing, everybody from Joseph Campbell and Joe Dispenza and Eckhart Tolle and Tony Robbins, and who's not a personal guru of mine, but he's got wisdom, I'm sure, and Oprah Winfrey, and I'm not saying that any or all of these people had no problems on the ground being physical. We all have problems on the ground being physical. We're all lame and wrong and stupid, but we are also powerful and wise and right about profound things, and if we focus that direction and know that there is no us and them, and so there isn't any answer. If the answer is we've got to make the world safe by blowing you out of the water, then we've got a problem, because we've got to get to the place where the answer is that we all understand that we're all in this together, and we've got to all just mutually disarm. Well, we're not going to do that until the energy situation is solved, because right now it's all centralized energy. No matter how it's produced, it's put on a centralized grid, and each and every one of us has to capitalize in some way in order to get a piece of what it means to be human, a piece of the energy pie. At the very least, if I had a little space in the world and energy to do whatever I wanted to do, I could go out and do things on my own. I could control my own... Well, actually, you would need to start with some ground baseline technology, which could be pretty fundamental. And you could make sure that everybody who wanted access to this very, 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 very fundamental starting point could have it. And from that point, anybody could survive. Wouldn't that be interesting? But right now, you have to seriously capitalize to get anywhere, to be anywhere. To have a roof over your head, to be able to eat, to be able to control your environment. Now, you're sort of born into an environment where people are kind of doing that around you. And you don't really understand how they're doing it, really, until you get older. And then, there's things, people explain it to you, there's these power plants and, the technology, some of it's made over here and some of it's made over here. A lot of it used to be made here. in the United States, but not much of that's happening anymore. It's and it works in this way and that way, and most of it at some point you have to plug something into the wall that's been built in a certain kind of way, and then there's you really have to be quite a ways down the road to even get started. Now here you are, you're a millennial or something younger or older, and you have to make your way. And what are you supposed to do with this? Well, you have to capitalize, you have to monetize, you have to create something in some manner. You have to produce a service, or you can create an entertainment. You can do that. You could produce a goods of some sort. You could be the author of ideas. You could be an academic passing on the lattice matrix of information that your people are operating on, that's producing the communication system, the energy system, the transportation system, the distribution system, the whatever. That's who we are. What do you want to be in there? What do you want to be in there? Because you've got to snag yourself a piece of the currency. I'm going to call it currency with air quotes. The currency. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, we have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of choices these days. If you would just sit back in your armchair and daydream about it for a bit, you would realize how many choices that a person has. Now, if you're locked into physicality, you might look around you and see only the momentum of the path in front of you. And depending on how much momentum's going on there, that may or may not make sense for you just to stay right there and morph from right where it always makes sense to move from where you are, wherever it is you are. Don't lurch and leap and stuff. Quantum leap's not what you want. You're looking for the next logical step and 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 the next logical step. And at some point you may be so clever that you can see where you're going. I can see where I'm going, but you still have to work it, the next logical step and the next logical step in reality, because you're working a reality thing. You're operating an avatar on the grid of reality, with rules that are in place that never change and form that always changes. And the question through all of that is, who am I? Who am I? And the answer is, I am the formless, putting on whatever form I decide I want in this season. And what determines it is how I focus, what I focus on and how I focus, what frequency I am on as I focus, because that is the frequency that I am broadcasting. And you get back on the same frequency that you put out. What you put out is what you get back. There is nothing you can do to change that. And did I say the fifth law? That everything changes except for the laws. There's nothing you can do to change that. You actually are, you could define yourself more as the laws than the but it's both. It's both, because one without the other doesn't really have any meaning. You give the meaning to all of it. You give the meaning to the form of the universe. Who are you? Who am I? How you answer that question every minute of every day of your life is forming the direction that your avatar, your being, your starship of light is traversing this universe. this conscious verse. And isn't that all interesting? And I see that I'm coming up on the 1 hour and 48 minute mark. I have covered a number of things. I don't know which direction I leaned today. I'll be back tomorrow saying more things. We'll see where this all comes to. The project for me, from my point of view, is who am I? It would be interesting if everybody had their own little, actually everybody does have their own little who am I project going on. That's the meaning of your life. So go forth and live it. And my advice would be look for the fun, look for the joy. That's who you are. The other self, the worried self, is not actually you. And the worried self is not really going to be the one who has the good ideas that will get the worried self out of their worrisome problem. It's true, you're in a worrisome problem. You have no money. The landlord is beating your door down. You've got kids to feed, or whatever. It is a worrisome problem. The problem is that that's not who you really are, and the you that you're being isn't going to have the good ideas to get out of the situation that your not worried self should. How do you say that? How do you say that? Here I am. I am a person who should be worried about nothing whatsoever in a very worrisome situation. So what do I do about that? Think of it as an escape room. Figure out any way to frame it, to step back from it, to recognize that you are at least one step removed from it. You can go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go. You can dial all the way out. You can dial all the way in, and it's all you. It's nothing but you, and what you put out is what you get back. And if it's gentle, loving, peaceful kindness, I'm hoping that that's what I get back, because that's what I try to put out. Now, I'm not much of a joiner. And so people who have been perhaps unhappy because I do not come and join their group, and they would love to have me join their group, I'm a bit of a hermit, and I haven't learned how to be fully who I am and only who I am at all times, whether I am with people or whether I am not with people. I can do it for lengths of time, but I am the kind of person that I have to keep going back to myself and pondering this bigger picture and how everything adds into everything, because that's what I find really, really interesting. It's like it's my specialty. My specialty is to go general, and how to understand the fulcrum upon which all of the specifics, where they all tip and how they all add up, how everything adds up to everything. That seems to be my specialty, and I didn't come at it from a conventional academic position, so there is no conventional position for me out there in the world to fulfill this thing that I am, that I do, that I see. So I've got to find my own way. I've got to understand that the universe is vibrational, and if I keep my eyes on the vibration and stay true to the vibration and just be what it be, then it will all unfold as it needs to unfold, and it'll be a fun ride as I go. And I've chosen it to be a little slower, a little more peaceful. I do not choose to be at the head of an empire, a $1 billion empire. And yet someday it would be my ambition for my heart and my ideas and my thoughts to influence in a positive and coherent manner more of the field around me, and have at my fingertips, all the cooperative components to all the desires that I could ever hope to focus on, including personal ones to improve the spaces immediately around me, so that I'm more comfortable. I like that. And observing more beauty. But also to maybe have an effect on, larger parts of the space. Now, I have no idea how to do that. And it's not really my job. My job is to focus on what I find interesting and to just be myself as fully as I can possibly be. And I would advise that you do the same thing. Focus on what you find interesting and be yourself as magnanimously, as benevolently, as kindly as you can be. Be yourself. All of the world needs all of us. And until tomorrow, where I will come back and for somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours, I will do it out loud. And we will discuss what it means to be a human being on planet Earth. Who am I? I will see you tomorrow. And until then, corny, 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 I am so sorry. May the source be with you.